Welcome to Maddie's Moving Podcast. Today I will be explaining the dangers of our government having access to our personal information. By personal information, I mean your financial history, your medical records, your ethnic background, and your religious and political associations. This is a heated debate between people who support the government having access to our information, while others feel along the lines of not allowing our government to have access to our personal information. So why should you care if the government has the ability to access your personal information? Well, you should take into account that by allowing our government to have access to your personal information, it opens the doors to someone else getting hold of your personal information. I pose this question to people between the ages of 18 to 24 who are college students in the Boise area. Identity theft is most common to happen to people who fall into this age group. Just this past year, according to Fox News, the FBI has warned U.S. citizens of a campaign by a mysterious internet hacking group to breach numerous federal agency computer systems and the resulting theft of thousands of people's personal information, meaning we put our trust into our government to safeguard our information from being stolen during a data breach. Is our information safe when in the hands of our government? Some Americans may put their full trust in the government and believe the government will do anything to keep their information from being leaked or accessed by a third party. Sad thing is, by giving our government the ability to have access to your personal information, it allows for such things as identity theft and identity fraud to occur. Just this year alone, according to Blake Ellis, every 2 seconds, another American becomes a victim of identity fraud. You may ask, what are the underlying differences between identity theft and identity fraud? Well, identity theft is when someone's personal information, such as his or her social security number, is being used in order to get money. And identity fraud occurs when your personal information is being accessed for a financial gain. A survey done by Javelin Strategy and Research found that the likeliest victims of identity theft, the number one target, are people ages from 18 to 24 years old. People in that age range are the most digitally oriented. They put the details of their life out on the web repeatedly without any real safeguard. Moreover, people in that age group tend to move a lot, tend to be in different career and education settings. They lose track of the fact that somebody may have seized their identity. It takes people between the ages of 18 and 24 almost 3 times longer to figure out they've been a victim of identity theft than any other age group. And we're not talking about small potatoes here. Last year in the United States, there were over 11 million people who were identity fraud victims. Sadly, identity theft and fraud are prevalent in today's society. The majority of identity theft incidents, 85% of them, involve the fraudulent use of existing account information, such as credit card or bank account information. Just this last year, Target had its system breached during mid-December that resulted in the loss of millions of dollars, which you might remember. Criminals had gained access to their customers' credit and debit card information. This information included your names, your mailing addresses, your email addresses, or your phone numbers. If you shopped at Target last year around Christmas time, then later to find out your credit card information had been stolen, this would make anyone feel uneasy about whether their credit card information is really being kept safe and private by his or her credit card company or the places they are using their credit card at. The people who are usually targeted in these instances are people with good credit scores. The age group usually targeted is people from the ages of 18 to 24-year-olds. According to the Javelin Strategy and Research 2013 Identity Theft Report, the Federal Trade Commission reported roughly 1 in 5 fraud complaints came from victims in age 20 to 29 years old, constituting the largest number of complaints of any age group. As reported by TribLive, the number of identity theft complaints filed with the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, in that age group increased from 56,635 complaints in 2010 to 57,491 complaints in 2012. College students are targeted for a reason. College students, among other things, typically have good working credit scores. But more important for a prospective identity theft or fraudster is the comparably smaller likelihood that college students will check their credit score or monitor financial accounts. We may have no idea as who has access to our personal information. We may think that we know that our information is going to one part of the government, but it could actually be in circulation to different parts of the government. For example, the government has a system known as the NGI, which stands for the Next Generation Identification. This is a system that gathers and stores personal information such as fingerprints, facial characteristics, and voice recognition. Even other federal agencies have access to your personal information without your consent. Your information can be accessed and used by a number of federal agencies. By giving our government this right to access our personal information, meaning there have been instances of where our information has fallen into the wrong hands. Example of this is that identity theft has grown by 79% this last year, according to Mike Hallen. In theory, we are allowing our information to be circulated around to any unknowns we are not aware of. This should make us fear of where our personal information could end up. By giving our government this right can cause us more harm than we could ever possibly imagine. An instance when it would be appropriate for our government to invade our privacy would be trying to stop a horrendous act from occurring on American soil, such as an act of terrorism. By giving our government this right, we are allowing anyone to have access to our information. Whenever you are sharing information on any form of social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, young people are the most frequent and active users of social media and smartphones. Technologies that have made it easier for identity thieves to obtain personal information they can use to open fraudulent bank accounts or credit cards. A Facebook account alone can provide a fraudster with a student's legal name, photo, and birth date down to the month and day and year. Think twice of what information you share on social media because you have the ability to control what information you want to post on your social media accounts. And as Americans, we all share that common value of privacy. So whenever you are divulging information, whether it be written or recorded technologically, think twice, because when you allow access to one outlet, you have no idea of who else could gain access to that outlet where information is being stored and circulated. We should not allow our government this right to have access to our personal information. Reason being that it makes us vulnerable to many unknowns that we could not be even aware of or even control for that matter. So take a moment to think, is it really worth the possibility of our information falling into the wrong hands in order for us to have a slightly more secure nation?